to me, I take a kind of hardcore political look at this, and I see Islamist parties who have multiple constituencies. A party like Nahda may, in some respects, its leaders, and I've interviewed them, and various other our colleagues here have interviewed them, will advocate something that looks like a post-Islamist sort of agenda. But at the base, they have groups for whom the issue of Islam is very important, and expect that their leaders demonstrate that their notion of political community is very much in concert with what they consider to be the authentic moral claims of Islamic tradition. And so it gets, so, is this an example?
Now we begin. Now we're starting.
So, and so balancing it, maybe you can call this process post-Islamist balancing out, but, the labels get in the way often, I think, of understanding really what's going on. So I only sort of put out that sort of question mark. We should be very careful about sort of what we mean by post-Islamism, particularly when the kinds of dynamics I just talked about may make it very difficult to come up with a kind of basis for political consensus that will lead to and advance the process of democracy.
I would like just to reinforce this point about being cautious on the post-Islamism label, because at the end what we see is, you can say you call post-Islamist any group that accepts a civil state and doesn't want to put, God in the constitution. But that's exactly, and accept the rule of elections. That's exactly what these parties are doing. But it doesn't mean that this is sufficient to guarantee a real transition to democracy. I mean, the post-Islamists not there. They are in Egypt, they are in Tunisia. They go by the rule of the people's sovereign. They accept that. But does it mean that the consolidation will happen? No. It doesn't guarantee any smooth transition to democracy. So yes, they open the gates to democracy, but they are not an homogeneous actor that will ensure the transition to democracy. For the reasons that were just mentioned, it covers a vast spectrum of people who just want, a symbolic inscription of Islam in the constitution, to others who want a discriminated use of law among citizens. So you have the spectrum here, So I think that's why I agree that the post-Islamist doesn't resolve anything. We think that because they are post-Islamists, they are pro-civil rights. I'm not sure they are. That's the point.
Would you like to add something?
Well, I really don't disagree with anything that was just said. I think we are all on the same basic sort of page here. There's no guarantees with respect to the transition to democracy. It's not simply about the emergence of these, for lack of a better term, liberal Islamists who are going to guarantee the process. And Dan, I agree with your observation about Ennahda and the different sort of political constituencies that they're trying to cater to. It's not just the conservative sort of illiberal core that is there and that is being wooed by the Salafist parties, but they also realize that in order to get elected, and this is, I think, one of the good things about electoral politics, it forces these types of rational calculations to take place, that if they want to stay in office, if they want to play the game of politics, they have to reach out to other constituencies as well. There was a moderate center there that they have to take in consideration, and so they're weighing these internal processes. And I think fundamentally, just to put a positive spin on it, that's what democratic politics is all about.
I agree.
Party politics, electoral politics, making those judgments, making those decisions, and then taking it to the electorate for a vote. So I think in that sense, there's room for optimism here. But again, we're really talking about the Tunisian case, which is the one really bright case that we have in the Arab Spring context. The other ones are...
And just briefly, and then I will open up. And actually the internal pluralization of different Muslim political projects is extremely important, precisely, right? So the Salafis, as much as we may be concerned, which are even worse than the Islamists, the Muslim brothers, right? It's very good that there are Salafis and Muslim brothers. They have to compete with one another.
Lots of Salafists competing against lots of Salafists.
Exactly. So this is actually very, very good.
By the way, the notion of post-Islamist has been instrumentalized by Islamists. So, they come and say, don't worry, I'm a post-Islamist. You read Vali Nasser, don't worry. I mean, they read our, so we, these worlds come together.